Alright, electric motor diesel, locomotive service manual section 7. The locomotive is the SD45. Inspection replacement of the contact tips and power reverser switching, shunting switch gear. Inspection of the contact tip. The contact tips of the power of the reverser, the shunting switch gear should be inspected periodically. Worn, burned, or corroded contact. Sample of view with the conditions can be seen in figure 7. One routine inspection immediately replacement of the contact tips. Such can contribute high efficiency, more reliable service. At the present time of the contact tips on all EMD electric motor division switchgear made with the alloy material, the contact surface of the alloy tips take the irregularities during the first few of the operating cycle. During the initial operating of the majority of the contact wear occur, the discolorization surface of the contact tips which can result with the repeated cycling of the good conductor electricity does not affect the contact operation. Normal wear and erosion continues after the initial wear period. In some cases, the appearance of the contact tips give the false impression that the tips do not operate with satisfaction. For the 7.2 sample view of the contact tips still reusable. Alloy contacts will operate satisfactorily even with the black and pitted, corroded, that do not cleanly draft or file with the contact surface to replace the contacts when any of the portion of the alloy material is worn onto the base metal. Regardless of how the surface of the contact tips appears along with the alloy material, the both contact surface the entire surface life has not been used. However, the routine electrical equipment inspection is made. If any of the portion of alloy is worn away with the base metal, the contact should be replaced for the best result with the stationary movable contacts should be replaced with either the tips or the worn base. The life cycle load test performed on the present use of the switchgear has been indicated the contact tip with expectancy of 3.5 to 4 years or longer. The life expectancy is based on the normal locomotive use of contact for the interrupt service. The fault recurrence caused by the circuitry malfunction will not last. Alright, do not reuse. Normal erosion alloy completely eroded always should be replaced. Okay? You can see the corroded, the good ones, and then the corroded ones. The contacts destroyed by fault current sample view contacts should be replaced. Reusable full face erosion, corner burn and erosion, corner and partial erosion. Removal and the placement of the contact tips transfers and the reverse switch. Removal of the contact tips after removing the top of the cover of the contact assembly. Remove the white salicylic material from the top of the screw. Remove the hex socket with the head screw with a lock washer. Figure 7.3 with a 3/16 of Allen wrench for lift out with the move of the movable hold iron. Remove the contact assembly. Replace for the contact assembly. Reassemble the hold iron tip. Remove the contact bar with the assembly. Being carefully with the iron with the contact tighten the screw. Reapply the small amount of salicylic material on the head of the screw. The hold on the iron assembly. See the surface tab with the part number of the salicylic tip. Stationary contact tip. To replace the stationary contact, remove the leads contacted connected with the stationary contacts assembly. Remove the two hex socket head screws. Lock washers with a 1/4 inch Allen wrench with the lift out of the stationary contact with the flexible standard of the contact assembly. Play for the new contact assembly in the position. Being carefully with the spring assembly wipe spring with its place in the vertical C surface tab with the contact tip. With the replace for the contact with the tightening screws. Check the movement between the stationary contact tip, flexible stationary contact assembly surface tab, and replace the top cover of the leads with the stationary contact assembly. Our figure 7.3 shows the removing the movable contact tip on the transformer reverser or switch, or removing the stationary contact tip on the transfer or reverser switch. See the Allen head screw tips on the reverser switch. Removable placement of the contact tip to shining contact with movable contacts. Remove the model molded angle with the cover the contact. Reassemble. Remove the lock washer, flat washer with holding the movable contact. Assembly the lower stationary contact block with figure 7.5. Remove the compression spring between the movable the contact the operating lever the screwdriver that can be used with the contact spring and allow to remove the movable the contact assembly can be now remove the lifting of the U-clamp securing with a low stationary contact block with a clamp that remains with the part of the movable contact assembly does not have it separated with the screwdriver to be used prior to the U-clamp, but pull on the contact assembly from the back side, slide of the new movable contact assembly in the position device, insert the compression ring between the movable contact operating lever. The screwdriver will help the inserting of the spring position the U-clamp over the whole low stationary contact with the block with the press it down with the block and insert the hex head bolt with the lock washer, flat washer, and tighten. Stationary contact tips. Remove all the leads and or bus bars from the stationary contact assembly. Remove the one hex head screw with the lock washer with the 5/16 Allen wrench. Figure 7.6 for the lift out of the contact assembly. Replace the new one. Check to be sure the contact assembly is seated properly. Serve the tab of the contact gap. Then insert the screw with the lock washer. Tighten screw with replace all leads and bus bars. Check for the contact type line. Tip lines upon the properly with the movable contact tip and the replacement cover. The figure 7.5 shows removing the movable contact tip on the shunting contactor. Mover 7.7.7.6 shows the Allen wrench moving the stationary contact tip on the shunting contactor. Movable replacement arcing the contactor tip on the power. The movable arcing the contact tip lift up with and tilt with the contactor shoot with the assembly become with the main body with the contactor remove the shoot remove the hex head socket head with the cap screw lock washer figure 7 hold the arcing tip of the spring with the move with the maintain contact assembly with the 532 Allen wrench grasp the face for the movable the maintain with the contact figures with the on the one hand with the other hand with the fit of the hole with the compression tool over the spring of the guide pin steer with the tab of the part number of the tool and this using the thumb tap of the compressor for the spring with the use of the tang of the tool latch for the flames, the hold down negative figure 7 8 with the second compression tool with the repeat with the procedure outlined above the compression and removal of the contact overall trap spring remove the pressure with the arcing tip of the spring with the permit there remove the hold down with the magnet arcing spring with the movable the main with the contact assembly are held with the by swagged pin and hold down magnet figure 7 9 with the figures on one hand with the rock of the compression tab and tool on top of the down up tool up and down disengage the pin with the drawing up the arc tip with the assembly figure 710 are discard the arcing tip of the spring. Figure 7 shows the removal of the hex head socket tap screws. Show the Allen wrench and your arcing tip sparing assembly and your spring compression tools. Figure 7 shows the application of the spring compression tool. Notice how it's in the sides. Note that every very top of the movable contact is just under the arcing tip. There are two sockets of head screw. Figure 711. These two screws hold the movable contact in place for the removal of these screws and lock washer within 316 with the Allen wrench. Movable contact tip can remove them in place for the new one. Make sure the contact tip is secured with C with the proper after tightening screws. Alright, figure 7 show the power contactor main body. We'll start with the show the movable contact assembly, which is shown in the hold down magnet shown in section A, the arcing tip in section A. Arcing tip springs, swagged pin, section A, slot cuts and exciting arcing tubes, tip springs, and spot welded arcing tip springs only on parts for field. Insert the new arcing tip of the assembly in figure 712 with the rocking motion with the compression tool may be helpful to make certain that the spring and the assembly is inserted between the hold down magnet and the movable of the main contact assembly not in front of the hold down magnet. 710 removal of the arc tip and spring assembly. 711 removing the movable contact tip and the power contactor. Allowing the assembly insert for the hex head cap screw with the lock washer thread in the screw when the far enough to hold the parts in place without the tension. Grasp the face for the movable of the main contact with the fingers on one hand. Being careful to have the holding on the main contacts not just the arcing tool, but move the compression tool. The remove of the second tool with the generally requires substantial pressure from the thumb tab. The move of the hold down magnet arcing tip of the spring with the side of the alternate to make sure that the swagged pin in place. If the pin was not placed, click, then it can be heard when the snap into position. Tight down the hex nut and screw, hex socket heads, cap screws, and lock washers. 712 inserting a new arc tip assembly. Stationary contact tips. To replace the stationary contact tip, remove the leaf of the bus bar connected with the stationary contact assembly. Remove the two hex socket head screw with the lock washer 1/4 inch Allen wrench thicker than 13. Lift out a stationary contact flexible stationary contact assembly. Replace the new contact assembly portion with be careful of the spring assembly white spring within place for the vertical. C. The surface tab with the contact gap. Place the contact tip of the screw with the check of the movement between the stationary contact tip and the flexible stationary contact assembly. C. Surface data. Replace the leads and bus bar stationary contact tips. 713 shows removing the stationary contact tip on the power contactor. Stationary arcing tip. The stationary arcing tip is located within the arc chute that can be seen with the locking through the opening of the base for the 714 can be replaced with removing the two slot headed screws, lock washer, inserting the new arc tip with replacing the two screws with the lock washer, making sure that it's tight and secure with the replace with the arc chute with the main body with the contactor tight until the arc chute back until it engages the hook of the main stationary contact tip with bringing it down firmly only on the contact assembly so with the latching spring snaps and slot in the main body with the contactor. 714 shows the replacement of stationary arcing tips. Your contact surface data with a movable assembly, movable contact assembly, stationary contact assembly, moving the arc tip of the assembly, stationary arc tip of the assembly, arc chute assembly, Solistic 2-ounce tube, spring compression tool. Current rating 100,000 amps, shunting 500, transfer 1,000, reverser 1,000 amps, contact pressure 9 to 10 pounds, setting pressure 4.5 pounds, transfer 5 pounds minimum, reverser 5 pounds minimum, contact wear allowing 1/16 each 1/16 per PR 332 inch, transfer 332 inch reverser. Contact gap power 1.5 to 1 and 3, plus or minus 1 and 3 to 32. So shunting 1/4 with 1/8 of an inch over travel. 13/32 of an inch plus or minus 3/64 of an inch transfer. 3/32 of an inch 13/32 of an inch reverser plus or minus 3/64 of an inch. Contacts number 1 power 4 number shooting DPT transfer DPT reverser movable between stationary contacts, flexible stationary counts power 3/64 by plus or minus 1/64 of an inch, transfer 3/64 of an inch plus or minus 1/64 of an inch, reverser 3/64 of an inch plus or minus 1/64 of an inch. And that concludes this section of the Locomotive Service Manual, Section 7, Electric Motor Division, the SD45 Locomotive Inspection Replacement with Contact Tips Power and Reverser Shunting Switch Gear.